Today, I have a very special story to tell. I've come to name this story The Lost City of Stars. Have you ever heard a story that you immediately wrote off as untrue? It sounded too wild or ridiculous, but deep down you've always believed it was true? This happened to me many moons ago. I was in my home forest. The night was set, but the moon glowed bright. My fire had burned low. The stars were sharp and cold above, and an old bear across the flames leaned forward, eyes glowing like twilight. "Ever heard of the Lost City of Stars?" he rumbled. I hadn't, but something about that name made my fur stand on end. He told me the story slow, like it weighed something. About a city that wasn't just built, it was remembered. Formed from starlight and silence, a place hidden not in space, but in meaning. A city that only appears when the sky and the soul line up just right. Some say the city lies north of the northern lights. Others say it exists inside a moment, a heartbeat, a breath held long enough to hear the universe whisper back. That night, I didn't sleep. The wind through the pines sounded different, like it was carrying words I couldn't quite understand. The stars above blinked with extra weight, like they were trying to tell me something, like they were waiting. So I packed my things, my compass, a good walking stick, and Roscoe, my raccoon friend who joins me whether I like it or not. He claims he comes to keep me out of trouble. I think he just doesn't want to miss the weird stuff. "We're heading where?" he groaned as I tightened my scarf. "North," I said. "You know it's already freezing, right?" "We're going further, where the cold hasn't even been named yet." Roscoe sighed. "Of course we are." We followed stories like they were trails, owl songs that mentioned glowing towers, maps carved into birch bark, star patterns scratched into old stones. Every tale was different, but they all pointed the same direction. Further, deeper, older. We crossed frozen lakes that hummed beneath us, climbed cliffs slick with forgotten ice, slept under the aurora and beside boiling hot springs. We shared campfires with marmots who recited poems and listened to coyotes tell stories and riddles. In the village of Whispering Pines, an elder lynx handed us a leather pouch filled with stardust, or at least, that's what she claimed. She pressed it into my hoof and whispered, "It remembers where you've never been." We met creatures who had gone quiet long ago. A chameleon in a tree told us, "The city sings at dawn, but only when no one's listening." I didn't know what that meant, but it stuck with me. One night, while we camped in a hollow of snow, the auroras came, not dancing like usual, but still arching over us like a ceiling. And for a second, I saw something in the sky that didn't match any constellation I'd ever studied. It looked like a doorway, a faint flickering shape gone as fast as it came. The next morning, we found an observatory, half buried, abandoned. Inside, an old telescope pointed toward a blank patch of sky. Dust lay thick on the floor, frost covered every window, and carved into the wood a single line: "The sky is not above, it is within." Roscoe looked at me. "So this is one of those trips?" I nodded. The kind we never forget. The trail got harder, less like paths and more like riddles. There were symbols in the snow, messages in how the icicles hung. We found a cave where wind played music through stone. We followed the sound until it led us to an owl named Nari, who spoke only in questions. "What if stars remember us?" she asked. "What if the city isn't a place, but a memory waking up?" We left Nari and wandered deeper. A fox who traded truths for feathers gave us directions in exchange for a single, honest memory. Roscoe gave up the moment he first tasted peanut butter. He hasn't stopped regretting it. We came to a valley filled with crystal pillars, each one humming a different tone when touched. When we stepped between them, a melody filled the air. A lullaby, ancient and low. I felt it in my bones. Roscoe whispered, "It's like the world is remembering itself." A squirrel in laugh gave us a glowing stone and said, "Hold this when the world forgets itself." We climbed a mountain trail that didn't appear on any map. The snow there was silver in the moonlight, and the stars overhead seemed closer, brighter. Every step felt like we were leaving something behind. At one point, Roscoe stopped and turned around. "Do you feel like we're walking out of time?" I did. At one point, we crossed a glacier so quiet it made your heartbeat feel loud. Another night, we passed under an arch of ancient ice and saw carvings of beings with antlers and wings, heads bowed to the sky. No words, just symbols. And something in them felt familiar. We followed a glowing path through a silent forest where the trees had no leaves, only shards of frozen light. Each step we took sparked a faint trail behind us. That night, I dreamed of star roads and doorways that opened into endless sky. Then, at the edge of a cliff that looked out into forever, the air shifted. Light moved sideways. And then, there it was. The city of stars. Not buildings, not roads, just reflections. Shimmering outlines that pulsed with rhythm. Constellations on the ground, matching the sky above. We weren't looking at the city, we were in it. Or maybe we always had been. It didn't look like a city at first. It looked like light and shadow pretending to be one. But as our eyes adjusted, we saw shapes. Archways that rose from stardust. Courtyards made of silence. Towers that didn't block the sky, but bent it. Roscoe stood still. Which, if you know him, never happens. "Is this real?" he asked. "Does it matter?" I said. The city didn't speak in words. It hummed, it glowed, it showed us memories we hadn't lived and places we hadn't been. We saw ourselves reflected in ways that didn't make sense, older, younger, somewhere in between. As if the city was showing us every version of who we could have been. And just when we thought we understood it, it faded, like breath on glass. We didn't try to follow it. Didn't try to trap it in maps or measurements. We just stood there a while, quiet, letting the mystery settle in our bones. Roscoe whispered something like a prayer. I said nothing. Then we turned back. It took us 3 weeks to return. The path wasn't the same. It never is. Some trails vanish the moment you walk them. But we left marker stones stacked in spirals, pine cones laid in star shapes. Not for others, for the land. A thank you. On the way home, we met a polar hare who'd once glimpsed the city in a dream. She nodded as we told her what we saw. "You weren't meant to stay," she said, "just meant to remember." And we do. Every day. People ask me what I found out there. If the city of stars is real, if I saw it with my own eyes. And I say this. Some places aren't built from stone. They're made from stories. Some cities don't rise. They reveal. And the lost city of stars? It's not about finding it. It's about hearing it. Have you ever heard a story that you immediately, because sometimes if you listen close, the stars sing. So listen, when the wind is just right, when the sky forgets to move, when the world feels deeper than usual, you might hear it too. The end. Thank you for sticking around to hear another one of my adventures. Let me know the craziest story you have down below, and as always, I hope to see you again soon.